We are back out here, fresh week, nice sunny warm day. So a few different tasks we need to tackle this time. Looks like we could use some stairs on both sides. That would be handy. After that, we need to set some scaffolding up to make it a little easier to get up to the second floor level. We'll get the ledger board on, get these posts extended up, get the next section framed together. So let's get at it. Well, actually, before we can get at it, we need to go around front, take some scaffolding down. The cornice is finished up there, and we need those scaffolding pieces back here. So I'd say down's maybe a little bit easier than up. You're not pulling, but you still have to put the muscle into controlling it as you lower. One easy little cheat we have here, we'll take all of the braces in through the windows. So it's a little easier to lower them down that way. But getting my sea legs, gonna get started. Well, got the top section down safely on the north side. Everything gets a lot easier. Unfortunately, have to repeat it all again. Well, this is gonna be interesting. We set it up a little bit close. It took the pin out to get it finished. Hopefully there's enough room there to lift it up. We're gonna find out. Otherwise, rest is off. Top is all down, not a moment too soon. The breeze is kicking up, and I don't really like that when I'm up here like this. No, they're not sounding the alarm because we dropped the scaffolding. First Monday of the month is the outdoor warning system, aka tornado alarm testing at 11 a.m. Glad they work, because 'tis the season. This is only a test. Good news, we're basically down to the ground now. Hooray!
Taking this down?
Yep, down to the last little bit here. 2 pieces to go. Pick up the screw jacks and our boards, and we're all finished up. Thankfully, we are now finished up with the scaffolding takedown. Looking pretty good on there. Just a little bit more work to do with those basement windows. Those are getting restored, so just a little bit longer till that's ready. And then the front doors also go in soon, so that'll complete the look. Time for us to swing back around to the backyard. Well, just got back from another shopping trip to get most of the rest of what we need. We'll just need rail after this, I think. And it really is a pain for this type of stuff. We go pick it out ourselves because they throw the junkiest stuff into the deliveries, and we want relatively straight posts and we want decent looking deck boards. So it's a little easier to go pick it up and load it and drive it ourselves. In this case, we'd end up having to order so much extra and then take it back anyway. Oh well. Now that we have our additional lumber, time to get the stair started. So we're going to start on the right side. Got a nice concrete pad there, and we have our high point there. So we took the 8-foot level there, measured over, got our height, 64.5 inches of rise in this case. That is from the concrete to the finished boards there. And then do some calculations. You can either do it on a calculator or in a handy online stair calculator. Both work. The online stair calculators are nice because you can just put your numbers in, choose some options, and it'll spit numbers back out at you. Otherwise, you could put your rise into your calculator, and an easy way to get a start is just divide it by 7.5, and that'll give you a number, and you're going to end up having to round up or down depending on how things are. And in this case, that works out to 9 total steps. So that includes the step that already exists on the porch. So 8 on the stringer. And we're going to have 10 inches of actual tread. So we put that onto the framing square, and then the rise broken down by each step comes to just under 7 3/16, 7.17 inches to be exact. So we set up the framing square there, and one of these days, for as many stairs as we do lately, I'm going to get those handy dandy little clip-on things, but a really simple way is just attach a piece of wood with a couple clamps. You only need to lay out one with the framing square, so handy, easy trick. So we did that, and then you can see the marks a little bit. Just laid it out along our stringer here. So got the 8 steps that we wanted, just fits on an 8-foot board, so that's nice. Now it's time to cut. So just one more quick note before I start cutting here. I selected basically our straightest 2x12, the least amount of crown possible for the sample. Once we lay it out straight on this and put the cuts in it, it's going to be our template. So we want this one straight, and then when you throw it on a crowned board, it really doesn't matter so much at that point because you're just lining it up so you can deal with the crown. But if you cut it into a really crowned board to start with, you're going to kind of have that hump show as you go on all the future boards. So it may not line up quite as nice. For the cutting out, I prefer to go all in one direction versus alternating. Some people feel differently. Whatever works for you. And as far as the cutting with the circular saw goes, don't cut past your stair. You don't want to cut into the throat. You need a minimum 5 inches, and most of the time you're pretty darn close to that. So trim it out with a reciprocating saw, jigsaw, hand saw, bow saw, whatever you have. Just don't overnotch. It's that's hack work, and it's the code. So yes, of course it does take slightly longer than just knocking that whole thing out, but barely longer, especially if you're using a power saw. Well, a couple more notes here about layout. So code states that your rise should be no more than 7 3/4 inches. It does kind of get uncomfortable above that. Generally, you really don't want it much less than 7 inches. That's kind of awkwardly low. And then your tread depth, if you have an overhang, you can do a minimum of 10 inches of depth, and your overhang on your nosing should be between 3/4 and 1 1/4 inches. 1 inch is a nice happy medium there. And then if you don't have any nosing overhang, the tread depth minimum is 11 inches. So IRC gives you some flexibility there on depending how you exactly want to do it. And then the thickness of what you're using for the tread material, you need to take off of the bottom. So in this case, it's 5/4 deck boards. They're actually an inch thick in reality. So we took an inch off the bottom. And then don't forget to set the top down on your framing to correspond to that being on the top step. Lots of little things you need to remember, but really they are little things. If you keep it all straight, it makes it pretty simple. This would be a fantastically well cut stringer if our rise was 7 3/8, but it's 7 3/16, and I for some reason set it at 7 3/8. Long day after all the scaffolding takedown and material moving fried my brain. So you can see how much of a difference that makes. That's our line that we're supposed to be level with, and that's a level stringer. So you get about 1.5 inches extra rise when you do 3/8 versus 3/16, and then to level that out, it more than doubles it. So that's why you check if they're cut correctly. Oopsie, it happens. Test fitting here took some frustrating trial and error in this case. So the concrete is not level in any direction, and that's fine for drainage, but it's making it a little hard to get things exactly how we want it. So took some cutting and trimming to get things to where it needs to go. And you got to be careful because you should only have 3/8 of an inch variance maximum on each rise, and we're still within that, so we're good. Unfortunately, getting toward the end of the day here, so this will be the only stringer we get cut today, but back at it next time. We are back to weather delays on the project, unfortunately. Yesterday we had thunderstorms and rain, and today we have wind-driven snow. Had gusts up to 53 miles an hour is the highest I've seen, and that is not insubstantial. Seems like we're in a bit of a lull at the moment, actually. Good thing the leaves aren't on the trees yet, so no signs of damage or anything, but not a great day to be outside working. March snow, not terribly uncommon. We can get snow up to April, but it doesn't look like it's going to stick around for long, and you can see it's barely accumulating. A couple days from now we'll be back in the 60s, so good working weather returns soon. We'll be out there before we know it. In the meantime, I'll enjoy a little more snow this season. Well, we're finally back out here after storms and snow and working at 2 other projects. Gonna get the stairs completed here, so we got the rest of the stringers cut, and then the concrete was unlevel, so we got the first stringer out here set. Then we ran the level over, found out that it's a 1/2 inch off, so cut that off the bottom, and then put the level across, got our measurements just to check, and it was as you would expect. The second stringer in was a 1/4 inch, and the next was 3/8, so kind of continuous slope, but that is working with existing conditions. Concrete guys did a great job overall, but they maybe weren't quite thinking about our desire for level for stairs. That's fine, we can compensate. And then up at the top, we're just using the Simpson stair straps as usual, LSCZ whatever number, whatever. So one key to working these, you want to nail with joist hanger nails at the connection to whatever board you're connecting to, and then you can either nail or screw on the rest. Just use 1.5 inches, of course, so you don't blow out the other side. And it really is that simple. You just put it on, and then it is bendable to whatever your stringer needs. You know, based on your rise and run, it's going to vary a little bit, so they come straight like that. So next task here is attach those where we got our marks even, and then we just need some planks on it so we can walk up and down. Cat coming by to check things out while we eat lunch. I hope we pass inspection. So one more pro tip about these straps is you'll notice between the metal of the strap and the nail head, they stick out, about 1/8 of an inch, give or take. So we trim about 1/4 inch off of the back of each stringer to account for that. That way it's not pushing out the whole set of steps. So little things to remember to make sure you're doing it right. And then remember, as always, if they put a hole there, you're supposed to fill it, at least as far as the round holes go. Square and diamond are optional, but those are relatively rare, especially in hardware such as this. Alright, so attach the top rather, and then all you have to do is hammer it over. We have them all in place now. That's nice. So next step is risers and treads. And another note, in this case, that 2x12 is our top riser. So we also compensated for that on the top by, in this case, 1 inch, because we have 5/4 decking boards for both the tread and riser. Remember, you do need to close your back. No open risers. So that is the next step, and we have 36 inches on our stringers. You can choose to go wider. You can't go narrower for the steps, but the stringer placement could be narrower to get a 36-inch step. And in this case, we're going to overhang by about 4 inches, give or take, because we are going to affix a 4x4 post on each side at the bottom for our rail, which will go up to the 6x6 on the side closest to us, and then we'll insert another 4x4 in there to catch the rail at the top, because nobody wants to fall off and then tumble down the basement steps. Time to get the treads and risers on. So we got a couple here already in place, and we have all of them cut, so we can just work our way up. So we got the stringers spaced out correctly, that's important. And then we have a 3.5 inch overhang on each side, matches up with a 4x4 post for the rail. And then we can come to the side here. So 2 full boards on top, and then we are using the deck board as the riser board as well, plus we want 1 inch overhang. So that gives us the arrangement that you see here. So we're just working our way up. You could start at the bottom, you could start at the top, you could start in the middle, you could do whatever the heck you want. We're starting at the bottom in this case. So we're just screwing down with 2.5 inch deck screws, so we get about 1.5 inches of fastening into the stringer. And you'll get varying opinions on this, but we put the deck boards tight because they're going to shrink as they dry, and that'll give you a nice little gap for drainage once they dry up. And honestly, it doesn't take long. You can see up top here, it's already shrinking a little bit, and this have only been down for 5 days? A little longer? I don't know exactly. A week? Something, but not terribly long. And we got one more step in the process. Ha! So we do want to anchor the bottom to the concrete here. So we got 2x4s. You can do this multiple ways. You can notch it through. You can just put them between. Either way, you want a good anchor point so you can get down into the concrete. And we'll just use some tap cons in this case. So that'll be good and strong. Most of the effort is up in the straps. So we got our last piece, the riser on the bottom. We had to put a little bit of a rip on there to get the angle to match the concrete. But last screw. There we go, last screw in place. Not the greatest access, but it worked. So let's take a walk up the stairs. Oh, wow. So nice and comfortable. I should have picked up my shirt. All right. Well, still got a rail to put on there. but not bad. I like them. Really comfortable. Yep, that'll work. Okay. Well, now that we got that on, we can start getting the second floor going. But that'll be next time. We're going to wrap things up for now. When we're back, like I said, we'll get the whole second floor assembled. We got posts to extend, the frame to build, ledger to put on, all sorts of good stuff. So hopefully you'll tune in for that. Thanks for watching. Thanks for rebuilding with us. Glad to have you along for the fun. If you haven't already done so, we'd really appreciate a like and a subscription. Really helps us out. And again, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys on the next video.